context of where we are in the last, let's say, seven or 8 years, what we've been doing. And this is just one component of it, and I'll get into all of it. But if I might add one thing, Amy, I like what you said about the, why can't people give, a nonprofit, put the money up front, rather than, have to go through all this aggravation. It reminded me when I was in college, I had a summer job, or I had a summer business. I bought a hot dog stand, set it up in a big parking lot outside a couple of, strip mall areas, and I had a choice. Should I sell a hot dog at that time for 30 cents, okay, or put a sign up, $2,000, one hot dog, and wait for that one sale to pay for my whole season, all right? So I gave it a lot of thought. I slept on it that night, and I put the actual sign up, $2,000 a hot dog, all right? But it did bring in people asking about it, and I sold a lot of 30-cent hot dogs. So, thank you. Let me start this. I'm not sure. I can just give you a little bit of background. This might take a few moments. The Summer Theater started in 2004. All right, it's 23 years ago. We started and we did our first two shows, a Shakespeare in Waverly and show at the middle school, Cinderella. For the Shakespeare, we just cast a bunch of people we knew. All right, my family's in theater. They knew a lot of actors. We just put it together, and it was a fabulous production, all professional actors. But for the musical, we had I think 60 people audition for it. All right, several professionals that we invited, so we just started out, and we cast 55 of them. So it was the entire group of people from the community and the area and a few professionals. And from that point on, we moved on to something more along the lines of this.
Somebody else's leg. Y'all dream about going up there, the doctors are big mistake. Just look at the world around ya, right here on the ocean floor. Such wonderful things surround ya. What more is you looking for? Yes, you know. Oh, let the sea, oh, let the sea. When the sun is begin, to me.
There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Will the circle be unbroken?
she's never stepping on. Memories are running alive. Oh, she's never stepping on.
Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good. If I can wait, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. With a always you, every thought I'll ever know, everywhere I go, you'll be all I need.
Dime que come to America, many hellos in America, nobody knows in America, Puerto Rico's in America.
She's soufflé, fire boiling on fire. We'll prepare and serve with lyric culinary cabaret. You're alone and you're scared, but sit by it, it's all prepared. And no one's gloomy or complaining whilst it flappers entertaining. Just I do tricks with my fellow candlesticks, and it's all in perfect taste that you can match. Come on and lift your glass, you've won your own free pass to be our guest. Stress, it's fine dining, we suggest. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest. Be our guest, be our guest. Our command is our request. It's been years since we've had anybody here, and we're obsessed. Bring your near, bring your ease. Yes, indeed, we aim to please. While the candlelight still glowing, let us help you keep going. Horse my horse, one by one, till you shout the Alpine down. Every single horse that's in project. Be on one for now, let's see. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest, please be
It's hard to follow an act like that. But, yeah. What you saw are incredible singers, dancers, actors, costumes, sets. I mean, it does not get better anywhere in this state. These are about as good a productions as you'll ever see in Connecticut, and for that matter of fact, in the country. They're not Broadway, okay, but they're every bit as good as Westboro Playhouse, Goodspeed Opera, Hartford Stage. We just do it in the summer, okay, in a high school. And it's very hard. We're one of, let's say, Connecticut's best kept secrets, all right? And we've been trying for 23 years to break out of that. But it's very hard when you have the resources just really promote in the summer. 4 or 5 weeks before summer, and then it's out of the zeitgeist for 6 months, 8 months after that. And then we regroup. But it's starting to grow really, each year a little bit. And now we're at about, 7,000 to 8,000 people see the shows, it's great. We're at the high school, we fill 600-700 people in the auditorium for each performance. We do 11 performances, 10 performances, because we only have a limited window. So it's become, as we get better, it's become more challenging finding the resources to do that. But this town, this community has supported us so well, over the years. Obviously, it could look better, all right? But they've been supporting us for quite a while and allowing us to bring this type of production value here, okay, to not just New Canaan, but our sister towns all around. I would say maybe 25% now of our audience is New Canaan. You say, oh, only 25%? Well, that means we're scalable. That means 75% come from around and help support the organization, whether it be through ticket sales, word of mouth, and we're, patrons themselves belonging to it. So we're growing and growing and growing. If we were to just get, 90% New Canaan, that's it. This is as big as we can get. Only here, sky's the limit. It's just a question of how far we can take it, how long I can stand. But it's working. It's working out really well. But the production, okay, is only one piece of what we do. It's a very important piece, obviously, but the meaning and the gratification most of the people get who participate in it is in what that supports. Doing this allows us to do things like outreach, okay, into the community, bring people into the theater. We'll hire 20, 25 college interns to work with all the professionals that we deal with. We'll have 120 people we hire every summer. We become basically a local engine, economic engine for the community. So we'll have the interns. We'll have we do a high school program for kids who are thinking of a serious college track for theater, where they do master classes for 2 or 3 weeks with pros in all different aspects of theater. We have a junior company for middle school students that, God bless this community, we have strong theater programs going on. But again, they're school programs. They're, how many people can we get on and off the stage, before the song begins? It's more challenging because they don't have the rehearsal time or whatever. Here, we take 3 weeks with the junior company, middle school. They work with our professional, directors, stage managers, designers, costumes, and learn the discipline of how real rehearsal works. So those that come in for our junior company, the 5th through 8th graders, they leave with a solid understanding of how a show gets put together and how they can all work together. They form, social groups, within the organization, but they learn how to do it. And the gratification we get is watching the audiences, look at this, that's my Johnny up there, but that's my Johnny on a $500,000 set. Okay, that's my Johnny, and $100,000 worth of costumes. That comes. We use all the main stage production values and give it to the kids at the same time. Use the same props, the same environment. But then we also get into the, let's say, the needs. For Megan, you talked about the Pacific House. The joy you get of helping these people, sitting down with them. We have a program called the Drama-Ramas. Melody started this maybe 2nd or 3rd year after we started. Working with special needs children, and she found that when she went to some of the schools, there would be some special needs kids in the show, but they'd be in the background. They'd be in the chorus, hanging out in the back, whatever, because they really didn't have necessarily the abilities at that point, or the environment where they could flourish. So she created a program for the Drama-Ramas, for these children 8 to 18, where they're the stars, they're the leads. And we partner them with each one with one of our interns or one of our professional actors, whatever, and they rehearse 2 times a week. They play whatever role they want in that show. They play the scenes together, or we have a professional actor with them playing their scenes. And they're in costumes and they're mic'd and everything else, and they're on the main set too. And then their families come and see this production when it's done. They're all, it's all lit, everything's, it's the exact same show, but condensed, brought down in pace. And the reward the families have, it's minor miracles every single year. We hear stories like, I never heard my child sing. He sings every day in the car now. Never heard my child speak a sentence. Doesn't stop talking. These are things that happen. I mean, these are small little things, but to a family, these are tectonic, changes in their whole relationship and dealing with it and opening up. So That program has been very special, and we offer it free essentially to the community. And we raise funds for that just to get that program because we feel it's so important. And we know that most of these special needs families have excessive costs just to maintain their lifestyles in these situations. So we have that educational component that goes through the whole program, all the programs that we work with. We're also now starting to partner and reach out into the community with other elements because we've become so limited in the summer and we have all this energy and all this talent and resources. We've now moved into Bristow Park in the fall with the Land Trust and the Bird Sanctuary. What is it called? Conservancy? Is that it, Keith?
Yeah, Bristow
Conservancy. And we did it last year. It was an immersive Shakespeare in the Park, where you walk through Bristow and you come across these moments of Shakespearean scenes with professional actors. So you'll walk down and all of a sudden you'll see the three witches, from Macbeth, stirring the pots and whatever. You'll have Prospero talking about the world's a stage. You'll have the high school madrigals. You'll get 4 or 5 of them singing madrigals in the corner. Romeo and Juliet doing their scene by the statue in that little area there in the park. It's, we'll have about 15 actors. It takes about 45 minutes to go through the program. And we'll have 15 groups go through. Last year we did 1 day. Now we're doing two weekends, 2 Sundays. And then we'll be doing more things out into the community because there's a market for it. We can bring this. This town has the resources and the knowledge base to appreciate this, right? And while they appreciate it, other people get introduced to it. So it's very special. So really, it's been a mission we've been on to try and spread the joy of theater, and take on some of the shows and social issues. Now, for example, we're doing mostly family musicals because we have what's called, a big theater, so it's getting, fannies and seats. We can't have a big theater that only has 200 people in it. We have to have 5 or 6, so what's going to appeal? So in the limited time we have, we tend to try and work with family programming, where we'll get the 4-year-old, the 8-year-old, right, and the grandparent, the child, and the adults. We used to have a Theater for Young Audience program when we had our tent where we would run children's shows, professional children's shows. We'd have 2 or 3 of them, run them on the weekends. And so all the grandparents would take their children to see that, and we put on West Side Story or Taming of the Shrew or more adult-oriented shows. Now we're finding a combination of those shows that appeal to all areas. We're trying to expand our season, but we have no home. So that's something we've been working on off and on for the last 10 or 15 years, and hopefully we'll be able to, put something together in the next year or 2, at least while I'm around. That's the goal. But that's kind of in a nutshell what we do. And just a hair background about myself. I came from the commercial world, like most of you here, and very successful. I had several companies, international advertising agency, created offices all over the world. And I got to a point where, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And when I helped out with the summer theater, when I helped Melody do that for the first 5 to 6 years, during the summer I'd take a month off and work it. I appreciated it so much, dealing with the people who, watching the audience and the children and the families and the adults, whatever, just soak up what was going on. This fed my soul, that really fed me. And I said, I've got to do this. So took a 0 off the income, big haircut, and here I am. So I'm out with my hand, not necessarily to the Rotary Club, but people, see me coming down the street, they cross over to the other side. I'm sure some of you have had that experience also here. But it's a joy, and it's a joy to share with another nonprofit like the Rotary. Your mission for education, you get it. You all get it. We get it. It's just, people in this world are just so busy in their life, they don't get it. And the more of us out there to help introduce them to these concepts and ideas, the better we all are. We really have to look out for each other. And we're doing it through theater. Other people do it through sports. Other people do it through debate teams. The child's debate right there, right? Just getting out there and creating, communities and reaching out to them. We're excited about what we do, obviously. There's no doubt about that. And I'm excited about what you do. I might not show it, I buy my lobster, I do it, but, I go to the Exchange Club and buy my tree. I do my duty, in town as you're supposed to, everything else. And besides, I have to see all these people in church or wherever, so I better have shown my face elsewhere too. But the bottom line is, together, we create a community, and we can reach out and expand our community. And I just thank you for having me share what I do to you, and just to let you know how much you appreciate it as well. Thank you. Any questions?
What's your production this summer?
This summer we're doing the show Matilda. The interesting thing about Matilda is this is a show that's on Broadway, ran about 7 years. It was one of the most successful shows on Broadway while it was running. They're rerunning it now. They just brought it back in London, and they're going to be bringing it back here to New York in a couple of years. It's about this precocious child, this 5-year-old, who is born into a family, a very dysfunctional, abusive, family, and goes to a boarding school with an abusive headmaster, and how she overcomes this through her nature, her good nature. And a funny thing about that is Melanie has a theater school, a performing arts school in town, and she has lots of students, and most of them learn the skills or whatever, not to be Broadway stars, but they're life skills, learning how to sing, dance, act. So these are things that will keep with them forever. But every now and then you get one or two that really excel, and one of our students was in this show for about a year, also on Broadway. And it was so demanding. They only did 4 shows a week. There were 8 shows, but there was double cast. But they would rehearse 20 hours a week, every week, to keep up with the pace of the dancing and new put-ins and stuff like that. So it was a job. We have 8 kids in our show. We have, it's a cast of about 30 professionals from Broadway. We have some people from the original national tour, or whatever. So we have a really solid cast. I mean, the talent's never been an issue. You've seen that. But the kids, we must have auditioned 200-300 kids, and we had at least 100 local kids, 150 local kids come in and do it. And they all had a good time. Our point was to make every one of these kids feel special. So it wasn't that they didn't get it, oh my, well, I wasn't good enough. No, they were great. We could only fit so many people in the cast. And they would see everybody do their part and how they did it, so they could see the abilities of the other children, so they could understand why that kid got it, or they didn't to a certain extent also. So it was a very positive experience we created. In New York, casting is a little different. There it's a little more business, straightforward. You're in, okay, next. Yes, okay, very good, next. But we have our Matilda was in the Broadway show Waitress, and so there's some sensational talent going to be in this. That's Matilda. July 10th through the 26th.
Why do you only do it in the summer? Is it because of the availability of the kids, or?
No, we don't have kids. I mean, we'll hire some or whatever. But
Yeah.
By the way,
But if it's tough in the summer to get people, why don't you do it in other seasons?
well, we hire everyone. There's no volunteers in our organization. I mean, the volunteers are our ushers, essentially, which are very helpful. Every single person, this is their priority, or they're not in the organization. They come in, they commit 100%, and they're paid for it. Our interns are paid, our actors are paid, they're professional equity actors, our designers. There's not one volunteer. And we make a point of that because artists should be compensated. We believe that they need to feel in their own life that they're being supported. And we're competing to get good actors, so you have to pay them, When we first started off, we had a few, we had a dozen or so volunteers, but or actors, whatever. That's a community theater model, which is different than what we are. We're professional regional theater. We are on par with the best theaters in the state. Community theaters are great too, and they satisfy a need for a lot, and they have professional people. Some of the better shows I've seen in Connecticut have been locally around here in the community theaters. It's not a question of quality, it's just a question of business model.
I think what Margot is asking is, why is it just the summer?
Oh.
Why do you do it in the summer? What's the history behind
That's
that?
the only time we have space available in the town. And we can't put our tents up in the winter. We actually had the high school in the summer, and then we lost that because of the asbestos over there in the middle school. And we could not get back into that for 20 years. We just got into it 3 years ago.
So you're gonna be in the Newton High School.
High school.
auditorium.
The last 3 years we've been in the high school auditorium, and now we have a good relationship with the superintendent and the organization there. So we've worked out we can now come in. But the problem is we only have this little window.
So,
But we can-
can you just expand, so you talked about a program hub, so if you have a, should I say, wedding in 2 years' time, a facility like the high school auditorium or maybe slightly smaller that you could use year round, then what happens to the organization when you get to that point?
We expand and grow. Right now, we have a very small staff. We have myself and maybe 3 people over the course of the year part-time. But when we are in the season, starting in end of May, we start bringing in interns, start bringing in staff, we start bringing in designers, everyone's brought in. So like I said, we have over 100 people we hire, all right, across the board. So we have 100 people. Now, if we did it year-round, we would probably have somewhere around 60 people a year we're hiring, including the actors and musicians and designers. But yes, if we found a facility that we could expand into, we would do multiple shows. But it wouldn't be just us doing multiple shows. It would be creating a venue, a facility that encourages other organizations, whether it be dance companies, whether it be operas, whether it be other theater companies, artists, whatever, to be part of it, because you really want the whole community to be engaged, so the whole community will then buy into it and support it. That's the plan down the line.
So I was just wondering, why would you consider doing it like a roving theater, in the sense that in the winter you would be going to Florida, let's say, and where there's a lot of people from New Canaan who are actually going there, like you would have a whole audience if you were moving, because if it's the winter time and the schools are taken and whatnot, to go to an area which is much sunnier and recreate that same summer experience, but in winter, where the weather is better.
I like that idea. I would like nothing better to go to Florida in the winter and put on shows also. You know, economically, it's not viable. Not viable. We're able to do this here because we have a base here, and people support us, know us, etc.
I do remember the time when there was one where the actors didn't get paid. And that's when Ed and Melody put on the Noah's Ark at the Presbyterian Church. And the congregation were the actors. And I always remember Carl Tice, who was the back end of a camel, going in, and he was supposed to have a hump on him, but his hump slipped. That became a huge udder. So, believe me, we've had theater, we've had Ed and Melody's theater, and I wish you'd see it, because you would love this stuff.
Thank you for sharing that.
That was absolutely memorable. It was a great event.
But just so you have an idea, the Summer Theater's done almost 100 shows, 105 shows in the last 23 years. That's including our theater paying audience. And we hope to get back to touring. Before the pandemic, we would tour our theater for young audience shows that we produce in the summer to schools across Connecticut. We take them up to the Catherine Hepburn Performing Arts Center at Saybrook, other performing arts centers, and Greenwich, Darien, Westport, Stamford, Milford. I mean, all these towns would bring us in, and it was great. I mean, we could actually raise funds for that, and we would bring it there, and you know, we'd charge a fee for it, but it was self-supportive. But we haven't been able to do that because we don't have the ability to mount the show in the summer and then tour it. Mounting it and then just touring it without having an audience to help pay for whatever the initial stages, just economically is there, because everyone's paid, you know, and we're not going to big venues, we're going to schools that can barely afford anything.
What do you do the rest of the year?
Scott.
Look, first question, do you think that the summer theater is going to come up to the same level as the Fall Guy and the Gridiron Show? More seriously though, and actually playing off of Keith's, I mean, it's always tricky to choose which shows to do and how to actually put them on, knowing that like the Camel's Hump may turn. Are there any shows like that give you as a producer just agita as to how you would make it happen?
Well, I think the only show, we did 2 shows in the last 23 years that were problematic, all right, in attracting the right audience. One was when we did Charlie Brown like it was on Broadway as an adult show during the evening, and we could only get like a half a house. It was just too much of a young family show, and adults weren't that interested in it. So that was bad. We kept that set, the costumes, and we did it 3 times since on Saturday mornings for the kids shows, and it was a huge hit. Huge hit. I mean, it made more money on a Saturday and Sunday doing 2 performances on a weekend for kids at $25 a ticket than it did at $50 or $40 a ticket running for a month under the tent. So it was crazy, how these things happen. The other was Once on This Island, the show you saw with all the African Americans in it. We brought that here. This is during the whole time with diversity going on, and et cetera. We brought that show in here as an effort to, be inclusive and introduce the community to it. We could not build an audience. We just could not build an audience. We had maybe half houses. This was 10. So we had maybe, instead of 3,000 people seeing it, we had maybe 2,000 or 1,500 come. And we're very disappointed about that. We're not giving up, but we're not taking big risks like that, unless we're doing 5 shows that year, and then we can pick and choose what we're doing. But when we do just one show, like you said, had to pick the right show. Yeah. And right now, by default, we're falling into that area we'd like to expand. Am I gonna get the bell now?
You're gonna get a round of applause.